Dude, you look good. That's all I'll say.
Hey, thank you, man. I'm feeling awfully vintage right now. I think that's the approach I'm taking life on. I'm going after it as a vintage individual.
Do you think that as 24-year-olds, like we're much more in tune with our style and how we look than we ever were before?
I'm paying attention way more. I don't know if it's because I'm 24. Maybe it's because I'm working Facebook ads all the time, and I just see a lot of different things on there. But like I am obsessed right now since the Beastie Boys documentary of trying to like have that 80s feel, dude. It's just got way more pop. You hit mute, brother.
Sorry. Yeah, the Beastie Boys has definitely a part of it, but like I just care about how I look way more, and it has nothing to do with like my perception. I'm just like, because I'm worried about myself a lot. I'm just like, okay, I need to like I want to look a certain way now. Like I care about how I look, so I buy certain things that like it's not like it's fashionable. It's not like, whoa, dude, what are you wearing? Type thing, but it's like I'm buying more things for myself now, I think is what it comes down to.
Right. It's not like someone's going up to me like, oh, sick Gucci thing, or like you're not buying something to impress someone because of its status. You're
Right.
buying something because you like, dude, I'm gonna look good wearing this. I'm gonna look like a clown. I'm gonna look like a knucklehead, and I feel like a knucklehead. So this is exactly what I need to wear.
Yeah, so you just bought that from the Thrift Filet pop-up store in Minneapolis?
Yeah, so there was I don't know the exact name of it, but it was like an 80s, 90s flea market in Northeast. And there was 12 different like thrift and like guys who have their own thrifting companies, and they all had tents outside in the parking lot. And it was free. You just walk in, and it was all like gated off. And we just did a quick lap around everything. I had one goal: find a jean jacket. And you know, I on the third spot, the third tent we went up to, Jonah, he comes, storming over to me with something on a hand. He goes, "I think this is the one." And I looked at it, I tried it on. I'm like, "You're right, this is the one."
Isn't it super fun to like go to those little pop-up shops to find articles of clothing? Like you feel genuinely connected to the thing that you try on for the first time if you like it.
Agreed. And there were so many like sports things, and there was all like cartoon animated like TV shows with like graphic tees. Too cold for t-shirts right now. Jean jacket. And then I found this sweater that a Stevens Point hockey sweater, and it had to be from like the 90s because it had like a really old logo on it. And I was like, I'm getting this for my younger brother who goes to Stevens Point for Christmas. This is a no-brainer. Well, I get home, I try it on. I'm like, this is mine, dude. This is so sick. I'm keeping this.
Did you tell Madge about it?
Yeah, I FaceTimed him. I'm like, I'm not keeping this a secret. This thing's too sick.
That's really funny. Yeah, so for the listeners, Madge is Andrew's brother who goes to Stevens Point, who's way bigger than Andrew. So did you buy like an XL or no?
Yeah, it's definitely oversized on me.
And then you put it on and you were like, this is still too sick to not give it to him.
It's too sick. Yeah, I can throw on like a sweatshirt underneath and be for like, winter days or something. But yeah, the flea market was sick. I mean, I got to see Zach Fisk, who runs Thrift Filet, and I don't think I'd seen him since what was that, like April, May of 2019 when Sam was helping with us. And he was the one who booked intern Sam. And so running into him, it was sweet. And you could tell he was doing really well. He's got one full year left of school. So this fall semester, spring semester, and then he's done. At Bethel. And he's like, I just got a place in Minneapolis. And his plans are, he's from, I don't know if you remember, he's from Seattle.
Yeah.
So his plan is to stay here in the Twin Cities and continue to do what he's doing.
Dude, good for him. I'm glad he's doing well. Yeah, I've been like hitting him up every once in a while, just like for different articles of clothing. Like anytime I can't find like what I'm really looking for in Poshmark, I look at his stories all the time. And if you like go follow Thrift Filet, if you're someone out there who likes to be a part of the vintage clothing game, or just like anyone who likes to shop at thrift stores, Thrift Filet is a great opportunity to do that. He posts sales on his Instagram story all the time and has just really, really cool stuff. Kid's absolutely dedicated to his craft. But I always hit him up just like, hey, DM me anytime you have like an overboard of lot tees, which are like band lot tees, Grateful Dead stuff. Like I'm just looking for more like tees because, I mean, I'm sure we'll get into this a little later, but like I'm in the process of like completely moving out of your guys' place, like our old place. Like I'm distraught about it a little bit, but like I have way too many things and I have to get rid of all of them.
Yeah, you got miscellaneous. You don't have a ton of big things, which is nice. Like you don't own any of the furniture that's in the house. You don't have any like kitchen utensils that you're gonna take from us that we're like,
No.
no way. Like the majority of the stuff was in your room, was in your room because Jonah has officially taken over that room and made it look 1,000 times better. Sorry, Decky, but he
I
really,
know.
yeah.
I know. It looks dope. Like it's a legitimate room now. And I realized after he moved in, after 4 days of him living there, like I realized like, oh, like I haven't done shit. I hadn't done shit with it for 2 years, 3 years.
I mean, it's such a big room too.
It's huge.
Yeah. And he's got a much smaller bed. You had the California King in there, which took up half the room. I think Jonah's working with like a full or maybe like whatever's just under a queen. And it just, the room is massive. I mean, you got all the activities in there.
Yeah. But yeah, I realized like the one thing, well, what Jonah texted me, he's like, hey dude, update. You have a shit ton of stuff. He's like, you have a lot of things. And I'm like, yeah. And I was like trying to like, cause I'm not like a hoarder at all really, but I definitely do own a lot of things. And I was thinking back to like why that is, like why Jonah is now finding all these things. And what I realized was like, so I moved out to Minnesota to go to school at St. Thomas in St. Paul, Minnesota in 2014. I basically took 90% of my clothes, and then I had this guy who is absolutely loaded, like money wise, and is my size. And every year he buys so much clothes that he has to purge clothes onto other people his size. And I just happen to be one of the people. So he gave me like $2,000 to $3,000 worth of clothes. And I took every single one of those pieces of clothing and took that with me to college. And as you know, those are like like those crazy,
Vibrant polo. Yeah.
Yeah. Button ups, the polo shirts, the, pullovers from Vineyard Vines, like all of that stuff is from this guy. And I wore it a couple times here and there, but like, I would say that's about like 30-40% of my wardrobe. But like, if you think about it, like my mom has bought my clothes for me still to this day. She buys clothes for me, you know, at least for Christmas every year. But through college, it was far more predominant when I was home, you know, intermittently throughout the semesters. And so like 6 years go by through college and then 2 years after college where I'm just accumulating clothes and I'm not getting rid of any of them. And then now this is the first time where I'm like actually moving somewhere else. And I'm like, I already have too many clothes with me here in Arizona now. Like I don't need anything back home. Like I have so many things.
Right. And you said, get rid of it all. Like you told Jonah, just, you know, get rid of it all, donate it, sell it, start a Poshmark, take all the proceeds, do whatever you want with it. And Jonah and I looked at each other and we're like, dude, it was such a quick weekend where you just realized how many things were in your room that it was so overwhelming that you were just like, fuck it. I don't want any of it. And Jonah and I, like the day you left on Monday morning, we were sitting in the living room like, there's too much up there to just get rid of it all. We're going to pack it all up. We're going to put it in garbage bags. We're going to put it in the basement. Next time Declan's home for like a breather amount of time where he can actually like, just like see what he has, then we'll get rid of everything after that, because there's going to be a gem in there that you're going to be like, oh fuck, actually this has got some history to it. I need to keep this.
Right. No, you're totally right. And that's like this Halloween weekend upcoming. I mean, we're releasing this podcast like probably Tuesday, Wednesday, but like Halloween weekend, I'm going to come home. I'm going to stay through election day, and my court date. And then the next day I'll fly out and officially leave. But yeah, during that time, I plan on like just like getting rid of all of the clothes, or like at least trying to start listing all of the clothes. And Jonah doesn't know this yet, but like I'm going to get ready. I'm going to take a bunch of pictures of my car and then like maybe I sell that for. I'm either gonna. The plan with my car is kind of a separate conversation, but like I'm at least I'm gonna separate all my clothes from like the cool clothes, the clothes that maybe you guys want, and then like just donate it and or throw it away. I'm just gonna put it in 3 piles, and like you guys can take all the clothes you want out of the clothes or out of the clothes to buy or the clothes to give to my boys pile, and then the rest of them I just want to get rid of it. And like my bed, like Jonah listed my California king size bed on Craigslist, and like he's already having trouble with that because some guy sent him a $2,500 check off Craigslist and was like telling him to just cash it, only take a little bit, and then send the rest of it. Like it's actually hysterical listening to him go through a Craigslist sale of a California king size bed that's not him. Like that's just a lot of work. So I mean, this is totally, I'm trying to outsource as much as I can.
Yeah. Keep outsourcing. We'll get through it. So yeah, we're releasing this on Tuesday, Wednesday. You're going to be back for the weekend, for Halloween weekend on the 30th, which is a Friday, or the 31st.
I'm going to pull a quick one, I think, and get out of there on Thursday because I don't want to be there any longer. And
so, because you're finishing the job this upcoming week.
Yeah.
Tucson job is putting a bow on it. Decky Tucson, stamped.
Done.
How good does that feel?
So good.
What has been like the reflect? I mean, you haven't really had a time to reflect because you've been working 12-hour days. I mean, before you came back to Minneapolis for that quick weekend, you remind me again, you had like 21 days straight of 12-hour shifts.
Yeah. I learned how to work a lot. Put that way. I learned what it felt like to put 7 hours a day into something you don't give 2 shits about, to be honest. And
what was it like this past weekend? And let me know if it's still the same way, but like overseeing 90 people solely by yourself.
Yeah. So to give you context, for the listeners and you included, like I've been out on this job, basically just like helping out and helping close the project out, since June. So 4 months, 4 or 5 months. And, this weekend, or this past weekend in particular, was the first time where I was the only one on the job by myself. And Thursday, Friday was the first time where like work was happening and I was the only one on the site, like making sure everything was good and like nothing got burnt to the ground and stuff. And like, it was very stressful. Like it made me realize how much I know and how much and why people come and ask me about things, because like I'm the only one who does keep track of all these different things. And it was stressful, but it was like any other day. I mean, it was just like you got to be more. I was just like held more responsible and more accountable than I ever had before. For that,
yeah, you had all the power, dude. People were like, "There's no one to go above." Like the answer lies within you. Like there's no one else that's going to give them the answer. That's kind of a cool feeling.
Yeah, no, it was really cool. Like I wore my Hawaiian shirt on Friday and people were like, "Oh, that's a funny shirt." And I'm like, "Yeah, like that's just my vibe of who I am." And then like people genuinely understand that. And I think like that's a good like reason of like proof of concept to me, at least, where like that's like good. Like people don't respect me because they fear me. They respect me because they can relate to me and they want to do good for me because they care about me. And I think I realized that the most this weekend, because I've always been preached like Declan, like I got told by my higher ups, like, "Hey, we're in the closeout of this project. Like, I know you're not an asshole, but it's time to be an asshole." Like they were like, "You have to be a dick to these guys if you want them to do what you want them to do." And I'm just not going to do that. I'm not going to be a dick. I'm not going to be an asshole, because I'm not. That's not what I do. That's not who I am. That's not what I feel abrupt to do. And I mean, the whole problem with this entire concept and thing that I do in construction is just like, it's just like not, it's not me at all. Like I'm not meant to be a superintendent ever. I'm not supposed to be the guy who's running the job ever. That's not me. I'm not supposed to do that. You're looking at me now, and I'm looking at me now, and all these other people are looking at me now, and they're all saying, he ain't it. And I think I was producing the Straight Candid podcast, episode 004. It's not out yet, but insider information. Andrew and I produced the podcast, so we get to see all the episodes before they're released, not to brag. And
it's a good episode.
So, yeah, no, you know, not like just sick brag, right? Yep. Really cool podcast. We're going to get into how fucking insane that podcast is and like how like mind blowing that whole experience has been for us. Like that's a whole conversation, but I was editing it today and I realized Sophie said something that really was like really interesting, or so Sid may have said it too, but they were all talking about like their professional careers and like everything. And they're like, hey, if you like what you're in or whatever, and you want to keep climbing the ladder with what you're in, like look to your boss and the boss's boss and like the higher ups within the organization and like tell yourself like, do I want to be that person? Or like, do I want to be like that person? Do I like what that higher up person is doing? And then answer that question for yourself. And if you like that, then keep going. And if you don't, it's time to pivot. And I was just like looking at my boss, my boss's boss, and my boss's boss's boss. And I'm like, I don't want any of this shit. Like, I don't give a shit at all about any of it. And I've known that for a while. And I've definitely like harnessed that internally and definitely mulled over it. And I've also had to defend myself, being honest with myself. Like I'm not going to be in construction long-term because my next job, I'm moving to Arizona, right? And I'm going to be taking on this new job with another, with PCL, but like with a new team of people. And the new boss that I have, knows I run this podcast and listened to the episode 282, the We Can See podcast, where it was the last time you and I were recording together. And I said the same exact thing. Like, I don't see myself in construction long-term.
Yeah, you said that on the podcast and he listened to it.
Correct. And, yeah, he just called me out about it like 2 minutes into our little interview.
This is the first time you met him. You're sitting down. He's just getting to know you. And like right away, he's like, so I listened to, Backpocket, like the one that you run. And I heard I listened to the episode We Can See, and I heard on the episode that you're not into construction long-term. So explain this. And I thought you gave him a phenomenal answer, like one that shows you why you're such a motivated guy, but also like where your vision is of what you want to do down the road.
Right. And that's, so he was like, hey, I listen to your podcast. And like in the back of my head, I'm like, that's the coolest thing ever. Like this guy like doesn't even know who I am and saw it on my resume and like people have told him about it. Like he listened to the podcast and I was like, awesome, dude. Like, how was it? And he's like, well, on the podcast, like you said, you didn't want to be in construction long-term. And I knew exactly what he was talking about. It was like episode 282, the We Can See podcast. And that was like me after being like super pissed, and you and I were like in this dark spot, it felt like. And it wasn't a dark spot, but it just like a moment of uncertainty. You love capturing those moments.
Yeah,
and
it was hazy.
It was hazy for sure.
We couldn't see it.
Exactly. Like, and he was like, yeah, you said on it like that you didn't want to be in construction. And the first thing I thought was like, wow, he listened to like the 35-minute mark of the podcast. Like, pretty cool. The guy hung around for a half hour. Like, good on you, boss. Like, fuck yeah, buddy. Like, but at the same time, I'm like, damn, like I really got to own what I say here. And what I'm owning here is like what I truly believe. I'm like, look, dude, like I don't want to be in construction long-term. I don't. What I want to be running this company full time. I want to be part of this media production and broadcasting company that I started 4 years ago with my buddy. And that's what I want to do full time at some point. I realized that PCL gives me the opportunity to travel first and foremost, meet new people, and I get paid an engineering salary to do so. And I learn a shit ton about hard work and myself throughout the process. Is it perfect? No. Is it what I want to do long-term? No. But is it something that kind of like keeps myself moving in a fluid motion that kind of puts me in an uncomfortable position that I can like respond and react and grow from? Yes. And he's like, I'm just sick and like John the guy who's my PM now, who's my boss now, he's like, I'm just looking for someone who can do the job I ask him to and not quit after a couple months. And I told him, like, look, dude, like, I have no plans to quit. I'm not going to quit because the job's too hard. I'm not, like, that's not who I am, but like, I'm here to do the job you're asking me to do. Do I think I'm going to quit because Backpocket blows up in the next 3 months? No. So like, take it for what it is. Like, I'm just operating transparently, and this is who I am. And we left that was like last week around Monday, Tuesday. And then by the end of the week, I got the job. So I don't know. I don't know what he thinks at this point. We'll see where he comes. He's probably listening to this podcast now. We'll have to address it again.
Right. Yeah, you'll continuously address this. But what's dope is, and I think this has been consistent with each job that you've been on, this will be the third one, is the transparency's there. You're not sneaking around. You're not hiding anything. You're not doing this side hustle in a way that's like, oh, I'm just taking the money from a company to then like to allow myself to work on this thing called Backpocket because it's not making money right now and I need to have this other job. That's not by any means the way that you're like, that's the reality of it, but it's not the work that you're putting in it. The work that you put into PCL is far greater than anything else. Like you are dedicated beyond belief to that particular job. And that's why on a weekend when you have to oversee 90 people, shit gets done and gets done the right way. And I think like now that your boss knows that, I think it's got to be a weight off your shoulders, like off the get-go. He knows where you stand. You know where he stands. He knows you now fully, and you can just operate as if and make shit and just get these things done in a timely manner. So
yeah, and honestly, the thing that like scares me the most is like I didn't realize how good I had it the first time. Like I lived 20 minutes from our uptown house. And I got to show up at like 7 every day. Once in a blue moon, I'd have to show up for a concrete pour at 5 a.m. And everybody at the job site like was stoked on the podcast. And like even when we recorded like the Chad Greenway podcast, this is the one I remember specifically. But like I remember going to my boss and being like, hey, Chad Greenway wants to record next week at 9 a.m. Like, is it okay if I show up late to work and record a podcast with Chad Greenway? And like without hesitation, my boss was like, 100%. That's like such a cool opportunity. Like I'm excited for you. And I was like, that's amazing. Like that's so cool that like the company that like actually pays me is like willing to support something that I'm doing totally outside what I'm actually getting paid for. And quite frankly, I took advantage of that. Like I would do those types of things all the time. I would leave work a little early but I would communicate all these things. Right. And now I get moved out to this job in Tucson and same company, different boss, different culture, and like quite honestly, different scenario where I'm on the road and there's not a lot of other people to help cover for the job. So like even when like me and you would hop on a call at 8 p.m. your time, 6 p.m. my time, I would leave the job, just like leave a little powwow that I would have with my boss and my employee, maybe a couple other guys on the job site who were just like kicking back, drinking brews. I would leave that and then go and call you, and it would be like me and you on a call with like T-Flow. We're talking about the Date Night podcast, or me and you on a call with our sales guy, Jeremy, and we're talking through Bocella, or me and you talking with Christian from Save Our Livers, and we're trying to go through strategy. And like, I'm doing this like at least once a week, and they call me out and they're like, hey, that's unacceptable. Like, what does team building mean to you? Like, you're just going to leave you're just going to leave out of nowhere to hop on a call and everyone's wondering where you are. And then you're going to come back and act like everything's normal. And I'm like, yeah, like I didn't think that was a big deal. And then like, I just get lit up about it. And now I'm like, that right there, had they just been like, hey man, don't do it again. Just like, let us know ahead of time, which was essentially the first conversation. But like, you know how hard it was for me to go to like my boss and say, hey, at 6:20, I have to hop on another call for the podcast. Like it wasn't the fact that I had to say that, because that like you should be doing that anyways from a communication standpoint, but it was the fact that like I knew it pissed him off when I had to go on that call. It wasn't even the fact that I had the call. I still booked it every time. You know I did. but it's the fact that like they were like, fuck that guy, he's going on the call every time. Like it was a shot to them that I was doing something else that wasn't the job at
Right.
6 p.m. their time. And that's where I started to realize like, oh, okay, not every job is like the one I was on before. And now I'm heading into this third job, to your point. New boss, new transparency. We've got the back pocket thing on the table already. Expectations are expectations. We haven't even started the job. I get to come on the job before it even gets started, which is cool. And now I get to figure out, you know, what's what. But it really put a perspective on me to the point where I'm just like, oh my God, like if this happens again, if this Tucson type job happens again, I'm done. I'm out. I'm done. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to opt into this lifestyle. I am currently opting in now because it puts me in situations where I'm like, wow, I get to move to Tucson. Like I get to move to Arizona. I get to like go to these new places and like travel around and get paid for it. No brainer. But like, if it's gonna put me in a spot where there's clashing and there's tension, then I need to just look for something else.
Sure. Yeah. So you're saying Tucson job culture replicates itself in Tempe or Phoenix. You're bagging it because like it's not helping you become a better version of yourself. It's not even like Backpocket's calling. It's not like this subject, this entity is like, now is the time. It's more so like you're looking internally and be like, I want to be the best version of myself. And the culture that's getting consistently pushed on me is detrimental to, you know, just small incremental things like making you feel good about yourself. Someone that's putting you down daily for doing something such as a meeting off hours when your guys are just sitting in an office hanging out, that's just a bummer. Like that's not something that anybody should do to anyone. That's like if you were to call your mom just to catch up with her, and the only time that she could talk is 6:30 on a Saturday on a Thursday night, and you're having beers with Bummy or it's one of the guys, and they're like, "No, you can't call your mom." Like that's like the calls that you and I are having. Like it's just checkups. It's like just checking in, seeing how we're doing.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you're using the mom example, but it's like the same thing. It's like like Backpocket's family, dude.
Yeah. No, that's exactly that. The mom and that's what I meant by it. So no, I love the way you're looking at it, man. And so the timeline is this job ends Thursday. You're trying to get home. You're going to be home till about November 6th. And then you're starting the job.
November 4th.
November 4th. And that brings a good point. November 4th, the election day. We have a platform here, and we need to use this platform. You're listening here on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, not sure when it's going to get released. Go out there and vote.
Vote. Just vote. Just do it. Vote. I don't know who you're voting for. I don't know if you're voting for your mom. I don't know if you're voting for yourself, but you vote. You always vote. You're always voting. You're not voting. If you're not voting, you're wrong. If you're voting, you're right. Be right.
Use your rights. Go out and vote. This is the Back Pocket, and we approve this message.
We just turned into New Yorkers and we told everyone to vote. Hey, look, I submitted my absentee ballot like 4 days ago. Felt pretty good about it. Got an email today, said, hey, your vote was counted.
Same. I submitted it 10 days ago. Got the email 5 days ago. Counted.
Dude, yo, did you – so I know we're talking on a Sunday night right now, but like we're – as of like Friday last week, we were like 40% higher voter count at that day than we ever were before. Like
That's
more
crazy.
people – like I'm telling you to vote now. If you're listening to this and you haven't voted, please vote. But like, it's pretty bananas. Like how many people are just like actually voting this time?
I just got off the phone with my dad, and I think this is consistent with, you know, the older generation seeing what's going on right now. No election year ever has there been a marketing push from this many directions from the simple idea of voting. You know, you see all the political ads, who to vote for. That's consistent as shit. Like you see those every year this time of year. But the amount of like NFL, General Mills, Verizon, and, you know, the Back Pocket podcast putting in your ear to go vote. Like that is so cool. And it's shocking that it's not happened in the past, but I think it's just awesome that it is on the top of everyone's mind because it's important. And for some reason, 4 years ago, no one thought it was important, or people were like, I'm not going to invest in it because it's not going to affect me. And now we're sitting in a year of serious chaos and turmoil in many different areas, and people are on edge, and it's more important than ever. So, and we get to say on our platform, this is also what I was talking with my dad. He's like, Andrew, you got to make sure that Backpocket is using the platform to remind people to exercise their right. Indivisible. It's in our pledge. Indivisible. So go out there, fellas, ladies, gals, homies, Backpocket interns, and go vote.
Go vote. It's that simple. I was told by a few interns now who saw the John and Sarah t-shirt that I made, and they said if you could do one more t-shirt with like a little talk bubble that said ex pluribus unum or whatever that
E pluribus
saying,
unum.
E pluribus unum. If I had that across the top, and we released that as a shirt, that would be a good marketing ploy on our end. And I think, and for the people who don't know, this is so Andrew's dad. We don't do enough explaining of this, but Andrew's dad, John and Sarah, AKA Pops, he's the guy every single Monday that sends us a video. So like it's literally a group text on, we all have iPhones, so it's blue messages, of course, don't get too afraid, but it's me, Andrew, and his dad, and every single Monday, Andrew's dad will send us a 1-minute video of what's in his back pocket and how he's utilizing it to become a better person. And one week he said he used the old saying of the United States, which was ex pluribus unum.
E pluribus unum. It was on the coin, and it was
Yes.
E pluribus unum, Latin, and they changed it to "In God We Trust," I believe. And
Yeah.
in E pluribus unum means out of many, one, which is dope. And I think that is super cool that someone gave you the feedback for John and Sarah's face on a T-shirt to say E pluribus unum, out of many, one.
Out of many, one. And I think that like represents like what our country is all about. And like as far as we stray away from that, and as tribal as politics get with left and right, up and down, like E pluribus unum is like a very out of many, one. Like we are, no matter how, which is why we care so much about the presidency. I know like a couple of weeks ago when we were talking with Bighorn Burke, you know, I care about so many other things about who besides who our president is, because at the end of the day, like, you know, hands raised, like the president really doesn't affect my life day to day. Like that's just, I'm in a privileged point of view to that extent, but out of many, one. That one statement hammers home the fact that that one person you elect, that one person that represents you, is who represents you. So care about it. Vote.
Fuck yeah. That was well said.
So yeah, that, I mean, I'm excited about that. And I also want to, like, I know, so like I'm obviously moving to Phoenix here in a week or two, and like you and I are no longer gonna be just like together every day. Like we're no longer rooming together. I think that's like a big step and kind of sad. And I like think about it all the time. Like I lived in the TikTok hype house and now I'm leaving it. Like I just feel like I'm leaving something I shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we're 30 minutes into this podcast, but I wanted to start with some positivity. And I just like, I've been mulling over this for like the last 2 weeks, and I'm just like going back and forth. Like, this is a bad decision. This is a good decision. Like, I'm super anxious. I'm super confident. Like, I have all of the emotions around what I'm doing. And the coolest thing that happened that solidified and made sense at the end of the day was the fact that, so you've known that I'm like basically getting ready to move to Phoenix now, or Tempe, Phoenix area, for probably like what, 3-4 weeks now.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah. And then within this last week, I like told Instagram, I was just like, yeah, you know, I'm moving to Phoenix. And I had, as of right now, I had 27 people respond to that story saying like, hey, wish you good luck. Can't wait to visit you. And then like, I would say like half of them were like, hey, I live here and I'm right. Like, I love Backpocket. Let me know how I can help you get welcomed into the community. Hey, I know someone out here that lives in Phoenix. You should connect with them. Hey, now that you're out here, we should start doing this kind of stuff. Hey, I run this gym. Like, come work out. And I was like, as hard as it is to leave like Minneapolis and the Twin Cities, which I've been the last 6 years, like, how hard it is to like leave like all your football friends, all the people that you graduated school with. Like, now I created a community of we all created a community of Backpocket where you got the workout places to go to, like all your filmers and everything are there, like in Minneapolis, like all the locations and events happening every single week. Like, as hard as that is, I'm like, none of those things are lost. Not only because you're still there, but like, even if you were to move and I were to move and we're totally out of Minneapolis, like those connections are strong enough to where they are still alive. And once I realized that part, then I started looking forward and looking into the present of like, okay, well, what do I have now? Like, what do I want to build now? And that is where I got really excited, because I was like, wait a second, I have like a whole groundwork of things to lay and bricks to lay. I can lay a perfect brick every single day in a different location now, and it's beneficial to us no matter what. And I just start getting very, very excited about that. And I just continue to triple down on that feeling. And if we're going to expand and grow into something in the future or whatever the hell we want to decide on doing, like it's going to have, like, the community is only going to grow is one of my whole points. Like, it's only going to go bigger, and there's only going to be more people that are like-minded enough to like be around the thing called Backpocket. And I'm just very excited for that opportunity, even though I'm not in the place that I wasn't expecting to be.
Right. No, that's really dope to hear. It fires me up that you posted on Instagram or social media and people already are in the inbox in that town being like, I'm here, I want to see you and I want to do cool things with you. Or I know someone there and I want to connect you with someone so that you can learn the community more. And at the end of the day, that's like what Backpocket's always been about. It's about like bringing someone who isn't necessarily doesn't have a community or has a dope community, and we want to connect with it, either end of the spectrum, and just blending it together. So now that you personally don't have a community and you're going into a new location, and our community right here is like, hey, dude, here's some things that you can already do to get invested into this town called Tempe. And that fires me up, because what do we love doing most? Connecting with people and hopefully getting to promote them and helping them scale that whatever they're doing, whether it's just finding happiness or maybe making some money. So that's freaking awesome, because you're right. Backpocket isn't going anywhere. The Minneapolis isn't going anywhere. I was just talking to Jason Coons on Saturday. I drove him home after we worked out. And so we had like 20-30 minutes in the car. And I asked him, Jason Coons, former guest on the podcast, one of the founders of Best Christmas Ever, works at 3M, culture guy. And he shared with me his takeaways that he had when he was in the last 4 weeks. He was in Montana with his wife, just the two of them. And those two were by themselves for 4 weeks. What he learned, one of his biggest takeaways was, I didn't feel guilty for leaving what I had behind. I knew it was going to be there. And granted, he was only gone for 4 weeks. It wasn't like he was picking up and leaving. But for those 4 weeks, he knew he was in the right spot. And that was like one of the coolest takeaways to have. Like, you're not questioning yourself in a day-to-day basis. Like, is this right? Am I wrong for putting myself in this position? am I hurting other people for going in this situation? So having that mindset, Coons was able to like absolutely dive into what was going on. He knew he wasn't leaving anything, or he was in the right position. So that was just a cool reminder. And I was like, how do I apply that into my own life? And I'm like, if I picked up and left, what would that be like? One of my co-founder, my running mate, my best friend is picking up and leaving. Is he leaving behind something special? Is he going away from something special? And I'm like, I firmly believe, no, you're not. You're putting yourself in a situation where you can grow exponentially more than me, because you are putting yourself not at ground zero, but like in ultimate uncomfortability daily to learn a new routine, to build in, to find a new community and find another way to grow. Like I already have all of the tools. Like I wake up in the morning, I'm like, who do I need to talk to? Scroll through. Oh, let's go work out at Peak Health with Dr. Matt Weiss, Mike Schwant, and Jason Coons. Like I already have that. You have to find that again. And I think that's fucking dope. It's going to be hard. Like this is not easy between the two of us, but I'm excited for you, dude.
Yeah. And I know it's not easy because I know if I'm there and it's me and you still like if you and I are just like planted in a city for 5 years, like you and I both know, like we take it over like and become bigger than K-Fan, like overnight, in my opinion. Like I think where we're at now is obviously not bigger than K-Fan, but like our process and like what we're after, like we're gonna like flush them down the toilet in 5 years, and I have no problem saying that. But like that's not even my goal. My goal's not even like to be the biggest podcast or biggest media thing in Minneapolis. Like I really don't even like, that's not like a goal of mine. I look at like a November project after talking with Brogan. I know we haven't released that podcast yet, but like I look at that like community, I'm like, that's way cooler. Like I'm just like, the fact that that's like spread across the country and there's all these different people that feel the same way based on whatever location they're in, and they all show up because of one thing, because they all want to be together. And I'm like, I just want that. I want Backpocket to be like this thing, like, oh, you know Backpocket and I know Backpocket, and we are just listeners or followers of this brand. Let's work together. Like I want that to happen without me ever even knowing about it, to be honest with you. Like I want it to be that type of, I want it to have that type of aura, because that's how we've grown. In like, you get to wake up every day, Andrew, and be like, oh, who do I text? Who do I work out with? And who do I hang out with? Because we have so many people to do that with. We had the goal. Let's play in the sandbox this year, because we recorded 120 podcasts with some people the year prior. And we're like, we have to do things with them now. Like we built all these relationships. We should do something. And now I'm in this wholly different situation. And like you said, I mean, you said ground zero, and that's essentially what it is for me out here. But I'm like, I didn't realize that like our reach even came out to Phoenix and Arizona, and the fact that like there's already people here that know about Backpocket. And I know it's few and far between, but like what a great starting point to start over again. And everything that I already know, everything that we've already been through, now I can use that to start once more. And I think that's what's so much fun about the creative process, which we talked about with Brogan again, and what Naval Ravikant talks about all the time, is like the best time to be a part of this creative process is to scrap everything and start over again, and then just to continue that kind of creative process. And I'm not saying I'm doing that out here, but like it does have that feeling towards it, because like a week from now, like I have to know where I'm living, what I'm like driving, and like I have like a location to be and report to. Like I don't know I know where I need to report to, but I don't know where I'm living. I don't know where I'm going to drive in. And that, I mean, it's a lot of stress, don't get me wrong, but it's like, once I find that, like, I'm ready to fucking launch. Like, I'm ready to fucking start meeting more people. I'm ready to start creating, just like start from that ground zero again, and just kind of build the culture, build the Backpocket, build the connections. And like, Now we're doing it in 2 different cities.
And it's at the end of the day, it's pretty seamless, and it's funny, you know. And I've mentioned this a few times on the podcast, but it's happened even more so because of you posting on social media habitually about staying out in Arizona. When I see someone that knows Backpocket, or I mean, when they see me, they're going to think Backpocket, but they don't think me. Their first thing is, how's Declan doing? What's going on? what's the podcast going to look like? And that's the first thing someone asks me whenever I see a friendly face. And my response every time is, the podcast is easy. Virtual, sure. Declan coming back every other month, recording a bunch of podcasts, making a weekend out of it. The most fun thing I could do. The podcast itself, that's the easiest thing that there's to continue to produce. But what we're trying to do is something bigger. We have to continue to make sure that people know how, like, I want people to feel good when they hear the word Backpocket. That's the thing that I'm like, what's my role now on the ground in Minneapolis? How do I do that? So simply answering like the way I do when they ask how Declan's doing or what's Backpocket's future look like, I hopefully fire that person up with like the quote unquote future of Backpocket.
Yeah. Well, and I think it goes kind of back to the same November Project model where you have, you know, November Project is a workout company across the globe in 9 countries, 50 states in the United States. And like, they have leaders in each one of those respective places. And it's like, now it's like, I'm doing the most I can in starting a new place in Phoenix and trying to dominate Arizona, trying to dominate the Arizona sandbox, where now you're the leader of Minnesota. Like, you have complete ownership of the Minnesota sandbox, Andrew. And now it's yours. Like, you are now the representative of Minnesota, the Minnesota division of Backpocket.
Yeah, I'm the brand leader here in Minnesota.
You're the brand leader. Hey, start acting like it. You always have been. I'm saying, that's yours now, dude. How's Declan? You're like, yeah, he's busy running the Phoenix division. You're like, Phoenix division? It's like, yeah, no shit. That's what we have. I was literally getting ready to change our Instagram. Like, we operate out of 2 states now. We operate out not only out of Minnesota and Minneapolis, but we also operate out of Phoenix, Arizona. And that also fired me up, because I'm like, we just doubled our reach, because now we're genuinely impacting people physically in 1 state or in 2 different states now.
Right. And Jason Coons, he also asked me on that same car ride, he was like, so how, like, what, he directly asking, so like, what is the future of Backpocket? Like, what's your 5-year plan? He asked me that question again. And I gave him the answer that we talk about all the time. And it honestly made me feel so good to say this to someone who I care about. And I respect his opinion more than most. Letting him know that my 5-year plan is, there is no plan. I know how Backpocket makes me feel, and I'm going to continue to do the things that make me feel great when I'm doing things for Backpocket. And a perfect example is this Straight Candid podcast that we mentioned earlier, that we have now become the production team behind. This is the first time we have produced a podcast for someone else. But we're not producing and it's hard to fucking market it and let people know this, but we're not producing a podcast. We're producing someone's personality and voice and presence. Like, we have their brand, who they are. We have the ability to push out content that shows you who a person is. And the fact that we have chosen to do this for free. We don't charge these girls to pay to do this producing, because we believe in them, that their voice is going to be great and their voice is meaningful and impactful. And we have the resources and the tactical skills and strategy to amplify that voice and make it successful. And I want those girls to win, because it goes back to something that we were talking with Bio, creating community. If I have an opportunity to help someone else win and win with them, then I'm doing exactly what I need to be doing. And that's what Backpocket is.
Right. Yeah, no, I was thinking about that too, because we'll get to the straight candid thing in a second, but I was thinking about how like I've basically been running like Backpocket social media and all of the things that we've been doing for the past 4 years. Like it's basically just been me. And I mean, you've obviously you've had a part of
Yeah,
it
like
as well.
30-ish%, I'd say. Like
I mean,
25, 30%.
yeah, 70-30, call it that. 70% me, 30% you. But I was just like, I like physically don't have the time to do it anymore. So I've been trying to become creative to like delegate that and put it on someone else and like teach them how to do it and like all this stuff. And it just like, as I started to do more of it, I just started to become accepting of the fact that like, I want to, and we already are starting to do this on our Twitter, where I'm scrolling Twitter and I'm seeing tweets from Backpocket and I'm like, oh, like, that's cool. Like I've never seen, like I didn't tweet that. Normally I do, but like I didn't tweet that, but I like that tweet. And like I want to do that all the time now. Like I want to that needs to just be a team of people. Like I'm not that me wondering what I'm going to post on social media Backpocket is so not a part of what I need to worry about. And so something that I can delegate and amplify someone else to do. Like it's just blatantly obvious at this point. Now,
with that, but before you get to something, I think one of your goals in Tempe, since you're where you're gonna be now for an extended period, is to find someone on that ground to help you with that. So like reaching out to like Arizona State's in Tempe, posting in that area, whatever you need to do, find someone in Arizona, in Tempe, that can help you with that, because it's so much better to do it in person. And I don't know, I think there's something there. That's a tangent, but continue.
Right. No, and what I was getting at is just like, I really like, I'm not even fascinated about amplifying our own voices. Like you and I talking, this is our 288th podcast and like we do well. It's fine. You know, we've built a cool ass community and it's all come from this podcast, but like, dude, we don't get a lot of downloads. Like you and I aren't talking about like these grandiose things ever. And it's only entertaining sometimes. Sure. Like granted, I'm selling ourselves short, but I'm just saying like, that's the reality in the grand scheme of things. Being able to like produce someone else's podcast, knowing everything that we know and like just like starting from ground zero already with our knowledge of like how to produce an amplified podcast is like cheating. It's like legitimate cheating, because now that we have like two girls that are equally as passionate, want to put their brand out there. I mean, we're 4 episodes in, we got to like I'm getting excited about it. I'm buying in on them, and hopefully we continue to grow this thing to episode 70. But like the fact that like I get way more satisfaction doing that than I do posting my own bullshit. Like I'm gonna still talk. I'm gonna still do some things, but I'm gonna have someone else like put that out there from time to time, and I'll do it myself at time to time. But like I care way more about like making sure someone else's voice is amplified that I care about, that I know it's going to do well. And that's straight candid right now. And I'm so stoked about it. We like full transparency. Like Andrew and I bought all the equipment. We hit these girls up because we knew they were going to want to record a podcast together. Actually, they didn't even know they wanted to record a podcast together. Andrew and I put them in a group text together because they were starting to become good friends. And we were like, they need to record a podcast. And we bought the equipment and made it just happen, because like Andrew and I, that's what we want to do. Like we want to create podcasts and amplify voices of things and people that matter. And we saw those two as our first go around, and that's how we started it. Literally, that's it.
It's so awesome. Their passion is like equivalent to what we're trying to do. And that's just even more motivating to continue to do it. It kind of blew Coons' mind that we're not getting paid for it. But like,
not yet, dude, not yet.
And that's the point. Like, it's going to come. I'm not pressing I'm not, if we push the button here and have them pay whatever amount just to like make us seem like we're making money, what does that mean? What does that, where does that get us?
What are we gonna go buy some fucking Halloween candy with it? Like, I
Yeah.
don't.
No. So I think what we're doing is, and we're 24 years old and we're doing something to help another person. I'm really invested in the give value, get value. And it's in that, the book that you gave me, what was that red book?
Alchemist.
The Go Giver.
Oh, the Go Giver. Yeah.
It's the Go Giver. I don't know what's going to come of this. I have no idea. But I already can see that people are coming up to me now that are close friends with me, that are associates, and they're saying, so what are you guys a production company now? Sure. Yeah, we're a production company. We've always been a production company, but now we're helping now we're helping someone else. Do you know anyone that wants to start a podcast? Do you know anyone that wants to, get their voice out there? And it's not like we're just like winging it and putting this together. Like, we have a formula and we know how to win. We have success like in our blood with podcasting and with pushing brands. And it's so fun to fucking implement it for someone else.
Yeah. And like, we're doing it for free for these straight Canada girls, like, because we want them to be a part of like the Backpocket brand. Like, when they amplify and they blow up, like, we blow up with them. Like, it's pretty, we're working through trying to help like figure out that relationship. Obviously, like, I want them to do whatever they want. I don't ever want to like censor or tell them what they should do or maybe hinder what they're doing. Like I just want them to simply give them the platform and amplify and just let them do what they want to do. And I like look at our process with them versus like an iHeartRadio who would sign like Ben Lieber to a new podcast. And I'm like, it's like night and day. Like, yeah, they have the equipment and they have the money, but like, they don't have like the savviness, not even close to the savviness of marketing that we have. They don't even have close to the community that we have. Like, it's just a no-brainer. Like, we actually have an advantage here that I never even, like, we grew it because we worked our asses off for ourselves for so long. Like, I'm just like stoked about it. Like, I'm so confident in it. Like, that's why I said it earlier. Like, we'll take over K-Fan if we wanted to. Because like, all we would have to do if we wanted to take K-Fan over is like hit like the 7 major people within the area that want to record a podcast and be like, hey, we'll do one for you and we'll create this network, blah, blah, and like fucking make it happen. Granted, it'd be way harder, but like, that's not my goal. My goal is to amplify the people I actually give a shit about. And that's what makes Backpocket.
Amen. We had people over this weekend, and one of the guys came up to me and was congratulating me on starting this podcast. And he was saying how it's really cool how you're using, or how he asked, he goes, do the girls know that they wouldn't be where they are without you guys have putting in 4 years of work? And I said, yeah, 100%. That's also what's like so fulfilling. The amount of mutual understanding of the work that we're all putting in is phenomenal. I really don't know if there's another thing that people are doing, investing this much time and energy in, without seeing some type of monetary value.
Sure.
I think everyone that has like this extent of a hobby or this extent of a passion is their goal is to make money. Or they're trying to make money off of it as quickly as possible. And I think the why we have influenced so many people and so many people gravitate to what we're doing is because we don't ask for money. We're not doing this to, sneak by you and snag $4. We're transparent, and it was cool to just hear that compliment. I don't even know if I worded that right, but when he said it in the moment, it fucking got me jazzed, and I was like, yes, thank you.
Yeah, no, I started tearing up when I heard that, because like, Sid and Soph do realize that, like, that was like the first words out of their mouth on episode 1, and not that they amplified that on their own podcast, but like, they tell us that all the time, like, please teach us more, please like help us, like, let us know where we can help. Like, there's so many things with that, like, we haven't even taught them yet that like we're ready to do. But like, dude, like, yeah, it's a side hustle, and we like just put money into them, and we were just like, and it's not even because it's like if they flopped and like they just were like, hey, Declan, like we don't want to do it. Declan, Andrew, we don't want to do this anymore. Like, I'm not going to be like, oh man, like just wasted $500 in equipment. Like, no, just that's equipment that we can put towards something else. In fact, we use it ourselves for outdoor podcasts. Like it was such a mutual beneficial win regardless. And that's not to take away from them, but I'm just saying that like we're investing our own personal money into this always and have been for the last 4 years. Like we're getting to the point now, like to your point, Andrew, where the people are like, dang, you're really like putting a lot of time into like things that are other than yourself. And like you and I are like, it's not other people, man. Like we're still doing this for ourselves to a certain point, but like we understand the true happiness and the true value is in others and with community and with people. And that is the point that I was getting at earlier, which was just like, oh my God, I love producing Straight Candid. I love like watching it. I love editing it. I love like putting the videos together for them. Granted, it's been a little untimely because I've been so fucking busy, but like, we'll figure that out. Like I genuinely love putting it together because it's, like you said, it's 4 years of you and I figuring out the industry and figuring out the marketing of ourselves and then using it as the starting ground as for someone else.
And at the same time, I mean, we're still doing it. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, we're trying to figure out who we are.
Right.
I mean, this is something my dad has said on the podcast. I think it was the 4th of July podcast last year. We got the Nitro Cold Brews and we were, maybe it was 2 years ago. We got the Nitro Cold Brews and we were sitting in the studio right over here. And
That was last year.
That was last year. Yeah. Nitro Cold Brews. And he said, how cool is it that you guys are recent college graduates and you're documenting all of your thoughts and all of these conversations and people, and you're attempting to grow. You're trying to be better every day and and you get to reflect on that and have that forever, but also like other people can hear that and grow. That like we spent 4 years of our lives documenting like conversations once a week.
Right. Episode 191 for people who are wondering. It was July 16th of 2019. So.
And for all the reoccurring listeners that have heard this spiel all the time, I think what this podcast is really all about and what we've unpacked is Declan is leaving Minneapolis officially. There is no return in sight for him to be here as a full-time resident. He'll be back as much as he can, but he is officially in Tempe, Arizona, starting on November 6th. And he's living there. He's going to be a full-time resident there. And with all that being said, Backpocket couldn't be stronger from the sense of this situation has forced Declan and I to communicate on a way more effective level, more transparent than ever. We have to tell each other, hey man, I'm behind the 8 ball. I need your help. Hey man, Backpocket is struggling in this area. We need to go hire someone. We're still working on that. We're not by any means nailing that, but this situation has put us in a new uncomfortable area where we get to be better. And we've got all this work that we've done to allow us to FOAG and figure it out.
Yeah. Figure out, adjust and go. FOAG 100%. And it makes you realize like what matters most, like what things that we talked about that were pushing the ball forward, because when we were living together, we were all obviously talking about like what bets we have and what's our parlays this week and getting drunk on the weekends. And there's all these fugazi things that like we definitely talked about that probably didn't matter, that probably didn't push the ball forward. But like now that we have such a limited communication, it's like, what things do we talk about? And that's exactly it. But what I love and what I would, and I think you already know this too, but like, Straight Candid got more downloads on their very first episode than you and I have ever received in 4 years of podcasting. That's insane.
it's insane.
But it's expected. I knew that was going to happen. Like if I were to put a bet on it, I would have put a bet on it. Like I was like, these girls are going to do way better in terms of downloads, in terms of anything, better than we'll ever do.
It was minus 250. It was a lock.
Yeah, it was
Khabib going against Justin Gaethje.
It was a lock of the week.
It was a lock of the week. You knew it was going to happen, but to see it happen, I was fucking stoked because again, we put in so much work to connect two people that way, to then spend 3 months building this thing called Straight Candid, being a team of 4 people at 1.5, figuring out that 5 isn't probably best, going back to 4, branding, editing, random miscellaneous things. And then for us to release it and for them to win on that level, that's it.
Yeah, and probably continue to win on this level, and they're probably going to be bigger. I mean, they're going to be a bigger podcast than Backpocket podcast.
Ever would it be? Because at the end of it, who wants to listen to white guys talk about white guy things?
Dude, that's my point. Like I was talking to someone else about this the other day. Like female podcasts are like, especially Straight Can in my opinion, but like as I started to listen to like more female podcasts, just like trying to get involved, like more like people just want to like listen to them. Like there's way too many white guys talking about going to Mars. Like there way too many, and there's an insane like niche of female podcasters that are just saying it how it is. And I love listening to those podcasts. Like I love listening to female voices. And I was just like, I just couldn't believe it. I was just like, why is this always happening? Like Call Her Daddy is the #1 downloaded Barstool podcast. And like, we were like, okay, that's cool. Like they're obviously going through all this bullshit and whatnot, but like, there's a reason why that one's killing it. Guys We Fucked, great, like #1 podcast. The list goes on and on and on and on. And I'm just like, why is that? Like, why do these female, like, why are they so popular? And through listening to a couple of them, and you can chime in here, I'd love to hear what you have to say about it. But like, they just like say it how it is, and it's way more vulnerable to say it how it is from their perspective than it is from ours.
Yeah, it feels like they're attacking it at just like a real deep level. And
yes.
Like, they have so many and they're attacking it from like intimacy and vulnerability on things of like getting close with another individual, whether it's like a friendship or an actual like relationship.
Yeah.
And like people are so dumb in that area because all you know is your own perspective.
Right.
Getting like having sex and going on first dates, whatever it is. And then even like a 24-year-old getting into the fitness industry or building her own personal brand. 24-year-old girl that's trying to do that. Like that's not an easy thing to do. And they are offering a perspective.
Yeah.
Like women entrepreneurs, you look maybe, I don't know the stats on it, but 10 years ago probably wasn't as big as it is today, but still not enough people are giving as advice as you hear from the male perspective. So having like 2 women entrepreneurs offering their perspective at this age goes a long way.
Like super long way. And though
and they're funny.
And they're hilarious. Like I genuinely laugh my ass off like producing it. So like just a little behind the scenes for everyone listening. Like Andrew's physically there recording all the film and all the audio, and then he sends it to me. And then a couple weeks later, when the episode's getting ready to release, I go back and I produce the episode, make it look all nice, and like put it together as one little file to put on YouTube. And then Andrew and I chop it up, put it on social media, give it to the girls. We work with them and let them run, right? And I mean, you have one perspective of like physically being there and watching the conversation. I have another perspective, but like I feel like you and I have 2 different experiences, but at the same time have 2 very similar experiences. What has it been like hearing those conversations for you so far?
Oh man, I'm sweating for most of it.
Sweating the whole time.
I'm sweating.
Holy, my hands are all little sweaty little chicken nuggets, dude.
Because also I know I'm going to get called on at some point, and I have to just be ready to answer something. And you know
Dude,
how I am good with under pressure. You know how I'm not very good under pressure.
No, you've been great under pressure so far. You've been 100% phenomenal under pressure so far. When they were talking about red flag or deal breaker, and you brought up the idea of like they didn't like when it was a deal breaker if like you kiss your mom in the mouth, and you're like, well, what about if you kiss your dad on the mouth? Like phenomenal ad there.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. But yeah,
the beginning episode four, which I don't know if it's released or not, but if you're listening, hopefully it is. Like episode 4, like the very beginning of the podcast, they're like, Andrew, you look good. Like, what were you wearing that day, dude? Like, what were you fucking wearing? You had the denim Wildly Average hat on, but like, you could have been naked otherwise. I don't know.
Yeah, I might have been naked. That's up for debate. That's the thing that, see, I got no camera angle. We don't have enough cameras for me to get one on me, and I think it needs to stay that way. I'm the mysterious guy over in the back.
We're getting you a fucking camera.
All right.
It's gonna be a real shitty camera, but I'm gonna get you one.
Okay. But it's awesome, dude. Like, I go over there with a fucking big old duffel bag worth of 3 cameras, 3 sets of lights.
You need to describe it. It's like $2,000, $3,000 worth of equipment.
Yeah, big old duffel bag, and I set it up in a matter of 10 minutes. And the girls now know how to like help me and how to keep the cords organized and what tripod needs to go where. And we get it done in like 10 minutes. Put on a full-on podcast studio in Sid K's apartment, and then produce magic for an hour and a half. And I'm just sitting there, you know, I get to be Marcus. Like, I got no pressure. I got camera angle here, audio check, and I just get to be like, all right, this is it. This is exactly what I wanted. This is the Jimmy Iovine that I need.
100%. I set a goal to rewatch the
Defiant Ones
documentary on HBO, just to like basically like retune and get on the same frequency as like what I was already picturing, which was the Jimmy Iovine of podcasting. Which Jimmy Iovine, for anyone that doesn't know, is Jimmy Iovine was the guy who helped produce. He was a music producer back in the 70s, and was like, when he was like 18, he was just in the studio producing and just going through everybody in Boston. And eventually he came across like Lennon and the Beatles and like all these different people. Like, he just kind of found some people that like helped produce and just loved doing that. And then instead of becoming a producer and just like sticking with the record label, he basically went and expanded and went on his own to go find the best talent across the country and produce their music. So he ended up finding NWA and Dr. Dre, and he ended up finding Eminem, Gwen Stefani, Bush. Like, if you watch the Defiant Ones on HBO, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you also Google Jimmy Iovine on Google, you'll see that he's part of the Dr. Dre, like the Dre Beats and Apple deal that happened a couple years, like 2014 maybe. But either way, like, Andrew and I are taking the same stance, I guess. And again, I got to refresh my mind on the documentary a little bit more, but like, what we're doing with Straight Candid and amplifying their voices, because you and I are both like, that's a shoe-in podcast. We think that's going to absolutely blow up and get more downloads than ours. Like, of course it's going, like, and the fact that it did after first episode, you and I are like little high five, like, yep, did exactly what we thought it would. Where do we go from here? You know, like, it ain't a big deal to us. Like, I knew we were going to get more downloads on the first podcast than we ever were. Like, I just genuinely was like, yep, based on the 4 years of experience, like, that's going to happen. So we're at the level of expectation we are with them, and I think it's just going to continue to grow. But like, where do we go now? Like, what's the next podcast? Who's the next person we can record with? What's the next experience even that we can deliver? And I think we're on the right track. And I think with that lens and with our ability now, we have a much different, unique, and interesting pitch to people nowadays.
Agreed. We're doing it in a market that we really have no business being in.
Don't say that. What market? What market and business do we not have business being in?
That's 2 white knucklehead guys. They're going into the chick market. But I guess that doesn't make sense. I think you're right.
No. What do you mean?
Like but the reason why they are also successful is we could never reach those people. So like this podcast doesn't like the overlap's there, but it's not like they're saying what we're saying.
No,
That's what I
no,
meant.
we say dumb shit. You and I
Right.
say dumb shit, and that's it. And like they say other things, and like more people. It reaches way more people. Like there's only like so many white guy podcasters that like say good things.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, like it's saturated with with market of just like guys who say things on radio and podcasting, but I'm like, girls say way more things than us, like
Yeah.
way more better things than us. And but that's that's what we're doing. Like we did it for so long and still do it and we'll continue to do it. But like, if we're going for numbers, it ain't us.
It ain't us.
It ain't us. I mean, it would take us 20 years and we're going to do it for 20 years. And someday, Andrew, someday someone's going to come to us and be like, dude, you guys reach so many people. I want to sponsor you. Like we're going to get that with so many of the other podcasts that we produce far before we get that with our own fucking podcast.
Right.
Right. And
I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and we know that. We know that. There's no, like that's just written in the Bible. That is on a tombstone. And it's not because we're not entertaining. It's not because we don't care. It's not because we're not passionate about it. Like we got that all figured out. You know, we've been doing this for so long. Like we don't care about the downloads. We've always said that. We don't want to be the number one podcast. We've always said that. Like we just want to make sure we got the best product to put out there to people. And we know we have the best, we have a cool system to like amplify. Now we can just do that with people where it like works. We're like, okay, we have all these really good looking girls on the podcast who have really something to say. And those are our best podcasts. Why not put a podcast together, a separate podcast of something like that? Right. That was the impetus of Straight Candid. And they also happen to be like our best friends and we work well with them. But like, we're only going to find the formula for that going forward on other things like the date night podcast and the other types of spins that we're putting on it. Like we have a grasp on what we want to do. And I'm just fucking stoked about that.
I'm very stoked as well. And people forget that Backpocket, first year and a half of our existence, we never tracked downloads. Our current downloads aren't our true amount of downloads that we've had as a corp. We're missing a year and a half to the wayside. Hell, one of those podcasts could have more listens than
our first podcast.
We don't know that.
Our first podcast could have had 10,000 downloads, but we don't know.
And we have no idea.
We have absolutely no clue.
I'd say no. I'm a betting man, and I'd bet no.
Yeah, I would bet less. I would bet the under on 10,000.
Yeah, I'd take the under. But yeah, man, that's Straight Candid. It comes out every Thursday. I'm stoked to be a part of it and amplify their voices. Some other big changes I think the Backpocket's made. So we touched on Decky going to Tempe, Straight Candid getting produced. Other big changes. Andrew's pushing down the path of baldhood. I'm follically challenged, as people say, and I'm really joining. I'm joining the buzz cut train right now. So
how do you feel?
I feel really good. I feel tight. I feel aerodynamic, but mainly I wake up and I no longer see hair on my pillowcase, and that makes me feel good.
Right on. I mean, you look elite. You look like you could spearhead. Like if you were to headbutt someone, like they'd be bleeding after. Like you'd be like you're sharp. You could leave a mark.
Yeah.
You
feel strong.
Yeah. You just got like a good head on you. Like, did everyone ever tell you that? Like you got a good skull?
No, some people say I have a good skull. Yeah.
You got a great skull, man. I mean, that thing is round. It's nice looking. Like it ain't pointy. Like if I were to shave my head, dude, I got like a pinhead. I look like Patrick from SpongeBob.
Right. And I mean, you could tell that it's dangerously thin there, right in the front.
Yeah, yeah. I think if it exposes anything, like it looks like you have the widow's peak like to the nth degree. Like if you were to have like a children's book, or like if people were going to be learning about hair in middle school and they had like a little book that they had to buy for the class, like widow's peak and an example of it, your hair would be like right on it. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
this is what it looks. This is
yeah.
a fucking peak. You're not to the island patch like right on top of your head, but you're getting there. But I think it begs the question, like, I mean, if you're gonna go buzzed like this, like, how close are you going to becoming bald?
I think I still got a couple years in me. I really do. I think this buzz cut look is strong. I'm gonna slowly play around with it because right now it's at a 3. It grows to like a 4 by the end of the week. So that means I'm probably gonna need to get a haircut like almost every week if to keep it like at a tight base. So I'm gonna play around with it, give it the end of the year. So that's what 6-7 weeks, and maybe 2021 is the time to go like tight look bald. The issue with going bald, Deck, that I am very hesitant on is that the hair on the side of my heads is gonna grow back violently fast. So if I go bald, I'm going to have hair on the side of my heads by Tuesday. You know, if I go bald on a Sunday, I'm going to have hair on the side of my heads that's like pretty thick by Tuesday. Do I need to shave every day? That sounds exhausting.
Wait, so what is it like being like bald like in 10 years? Like, does it not grow back at some point or what?
Um, well, some people are like going bald. Yeah, like they don't have hair on the side of their heads. And my dad still has hair on the side of his heads. He just goes and gets a half, cut like shaved on the side of his, so it looks like there's no hair there.
Okay.
That doesn't sound like very. I don't want to be like the hair on the side of the heads guy.
No, I don't think that's the way to do it. I would look into like, is there any way you can like put some, just like rub your head with some cream and it just like prevents hair from growing? Is that a possibility?
It's probably a possibility.
Well, look into that, because if that's like your only shtick, because like I do firmly support like you not going bald because of that process.
Time suck.
Yeah, no, that's a shit time suck. Like you got to brush your teeth and shave the side of your head every day. Fuck that, Like I don't want to do that. Because like quite honestly, like I think you'd just be a badass just going like straight bald. Like just do it. Like now that you have your head shaved, like you're telling me like head shaved next 3 to 4 years. Like the 3 to 4 years of you telling me your head's gonna be shaved has nothing to do with your hair. It just has everything to do with your time suck. And like you're telling me you're just gonna like go head shaved and just like wear your hat like you are the next 4 years. Like cool, that's you. I get it. But like where like my question was gonna be like, well, if you're gonna go with the head shave, like, are you gonna ever go out, hit the town without a hat on?
No,
Then shave it.
but I don't think I'd do it either way.
I think you would get more comfortable going out without a hat on bald than if you were just like with a number 2 or number 3.
You're probably right. I think you're probably right.
Eventually.
Yeah, we're working towards that.
I like the shave. You're working towards where you want to be. You as a bald person is where you're gonna be. You might as well triple down on it.
Might as well get there now, is what you're saying.
Right.
If you're gonna be there, get there now.
But to your point, don't want the time suck of having to shave my head because my hair's growing like every 3rd day. Like that sucks, right? So
right.
Like that's why I was like, let's do some research on like preventing hair growth. Like I would love to see a product out there that does that.
Yeah, I'll do some research. I think, hey, we do our research here in the Back Pocket. We don't say that enough.
Exactly. So I'm coming back for Halloween. We're gonna record some podcasts. One of which we were planning on doing the bald podcast. Are you gonna be bald for Halloween still, or what are you thinking?
No, I think it's going to stay at this length.
Okay, all right. So even with that, who should we try and aim to have on while I'm back in town?
Who needs to come on the show?
And if you're listening to this right now and you're like answering wildly, please answer and just like DM us because we need to fill some time.
Yeah, we need to have some people on. Well, we'll do the straight candid one. That's a no-brainer. Or we can hold off on that a little longer. Don't matter to me.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't really. This is us talking about it for the first time, so I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe we do one with Matt Herron.
I would love one more Matt Herron podcast. I also want to get like Matt Herron, like to me is a must because I love like when he's on the podcast and it's like us three, like I have so much fun. I have so much fun with that guy on the show. And I know it doesn't reach a lot of people. It's not like, that's not even the point. I just like have amplitudes of fun with that guy. So I'd love to have one final podcast with him. But I also recognize that we've also had like 7 or 8 straight podcasts with like strictly guys. So like, I'd love to have a female on.
True.
So we need to start there probably and start to figure out who we should. I mean, we're going to go on the Straight Candid podcast and talk about that. I know that's one of them, but like probably one other female, I would imagine.
Yeah, I need to think off air, dude. You're putting me on the spot. I can't.
I know. I didn't know if you had anything on the spot.
It's a good question because it's a pressing question.
Right. Hey, guess what? Let's sleep on it. You know, it doesn't need to be decided now.
That makes me think, do we have a timeline on the year 2020? Personally, for finishing out the year of like, when do we stop and give ourselves a break? I'm cool with going podcast a week till the end of the year.
Yeah. I think
I don't see a need to take a break.
No, I don't either. I have some time off from
you said the 19th,
December 19th to January 5th. And I don't know if that is a suitable time to like I mean, I was gonna think about like flying back and like throwing a live show or something to like cap the year off, or like throw like a party to throw the year off. But we also could just be in a spot where we're already recording week to week to week, and like us stopping is not a thing anymore, because we had already talked about that too, like of just like not taking a J term or not taking off a certain period of time. I liked the time off, but also it was because like we grinded so ridiculously hard.
Right. We needed it.
Yeah. And you're already kind of bringing it up. Like, I don't know if we need it, do we?
I don't need a break. I want to stay in this groove.
I do too. So, and I also think our own podcast, the Backpocket podcast, is also like constantly evolving. Like, we're probably going to have to figure out a way to like live stream episodes at some point. Like basically what you and I are doing, but like bring in one more guest and like make it seem cohesive and collective, or just like make it feel like you're in the studio with us, you know?
Right. So that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're at the part of the podcast where we don't have any answers for our future, and we're actively talking about what we want to do or what we think we should do. And it's great.
I mean, that's pretty, yeah, that whenever it comes to you and I doing a recording episode, it's like a business meeting that we think through a little bit more clearly.
Yeah, right. Like I sent you a text like, hey, want to talk about Straight Candid, me moving to Arizona, and you going bald. And then like we talked about all those things after like an hour and a half, and now we're like, well, what should we talk about now? Like, do we stop podcasting like we normally do?
Do we have any things we need to talk about? Do you need to do content for the week? We each need to pick one piece. Like, that stuff needs to be talked about, but not now.
I mean, it like does, but like, who the shit cares, right? You know, like we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Yes,
God bless.
I'll say this weekend was one for the books. I was able to go to Peak Health Friday morning, and it was 5. You had to get there at 5 a.m. for coffee, and it was like about 15 of us guys, and Mike Schwant was there, Matt Weist, Andy Secor, Coonsey, and then we did an hour's worth of breath work, similar to what we did when you and I both went to Breath House. And then we did a cold tub sauna. And getting back in the cold tub really got the energy going.
Good.
Sitting in there for 20 minutes and then getting in the sauna, that brought back some good feels. And then Friday night, Greg's surprise party. His birthday's next week, but Mira wanted to throw a surprise party for him. Banger. Saturday, Coonsey tells me I need to come to the Vikings training camp center to go work out with him. So I show up at 10 a.m. for that. Walk in, Io's there. So I got to see Io, got to throw the football around, use the Vikings equipment. That was sick. Vintage thrift store, got this jean jacket and this Boston hat. But then we did Screamtown, and throwback to 2 years ago. Dude, Screamtown, haunted houses are so funny. If you go with people that are actually like want to buy into like what's going on, and you smoke a little bowl, rip a couple shots of Fireball, maybe throw in an edible here and there.
Yeah.
You got all the feels going. Walking in there, dude, and getting all spooky. Not enough people are talking about getting spooked. Getting spooked or having the idea that spooking is coming in the future is like it's just thrilling. You like
nothing better than getting a little scare going.
Get scared, people. And what was funny is like we were scaring each other, right? Because like you know something's gonna come out over there from like one of their employees, like gonna pop out, but you don't know Greg Ebosh is gonna be like one step ahead, gonna scare you again. And Greg's gonna grab you. Like the employees can't grab you, but Greg Ebosh is gonna nip your ankles while you're walking past, and there's strobe lights and a fog machine, and you can't see shit. And it's also 28 degrees and very muddy, so you're fucking cold. It's very muddy, and you're about to get spooked, and you're running through a maze in the pitch black in the middle of the night. It was fun.
I remember it just like I went through it. I mean,
Right.
it is very scary. And Minnesota does it best. And Screamtown's phenomenal. And it's only better when your friends can break the rules and scare you even more.
Exactly.
Dude, I was sitting watching the Broncos-Chiefs game earlier today. Chiefs absolutely took a dookie on the Broncos. No, it makes sense. But it was snowing. And I was in Arizona. It's hot. It's like nice and like it was like 85, and we're all sitting outside, poolside, watching the game, and all these people are like, "Oh, I can't even fathom what it would be like to be at that Broncos game. I can't even fathom what it would be like to be cold watching that game." And they were even saying that thing for the same thing for the Minnesota game, the Minnesota-Michigan game. Day prior. Oh my God, it looks so cold there. I can't even fathom doing that. And I was like, I mean, yeah, it sucks, but it ain't that bad. Like you get over it. It's cold. And you wear clothes, But it's just like, it's so interesting how much of a mental advantage that you have when you live in a place where it gets cold.
Right. It's the best because you know that you're gonna wake up and it's gonna be fucking cold, and you already have an opportunity to fight over some adversity. And if you beat that to start your day, sure, you're already winning. Yeah. We tried to go to a restaurant before Screamtown. We had about a group of 15, and it was packed. Some COVID protocols. You had to break up the table into separate groups, and we were like, that's not gonna be very fun. We want to hang out with each other. So what do? We go to the Super Target in Chaska that Maddie C used to work at. We absolutely flood the scenes, grab all the snacks. They had a liquor store in there, grab a bunch of booze, get some food. And we're an hour and a half early to Screamtown. We just go to the parking lot of Screamtown, pop open the trunk, put on the Minnesota Michigan game on the YouTube TV, blast the volume, and sit out in 28-degree weather in the pitch black in a parking lot in the middle of Chaska, Minnesota, and just pregame Screamtown and had the best time. And we were all fucking freezing, but it didn't matter because we're winning.
Yeah, I think like as long as like people are like cool with it, like, oh, we're gonna be cold, but we're gonna drink and we're gonna have our coats and stuff, like you can do it just about anything. Just like jumping in the cold tub, just like jumping in the lake with Embrace North. Like you can do anything. Like don't set your mental limit to being cold. And that's what has pissed me off a lot about Arizona so far, is that like people are like, oh, I can't wait for it to be 55 degrees and I can put my long sleeve jacket on. Like I have to dust it off in order to like wear it. And like they're like, I can't believe like people go where it snows. Like I can't believe that. Like showing people the video of you and I leading people in chant, like in the cold tub, in the frozen lake, like we're in there and just like having a blast singing a song. They're like, you're a psychopath. And like, I know we're psychopaths, but I'm also like, I'm mentally more stronger than you always.
Always.
And and that is something I will always keep in my back pocket, and something that I cannot wait to share with others in Tempe, in Phoenix, and just like let them know and bring that culture, and like probably fill a couple tubs full of ice and water. And during the winter, I'm going to grab a bunch of people and we're going to jump in together.
Undefeated.
That's what we do.
That's what we do. Hey, undefeated in bad weather games.
I haven't lost ever when it's cold. But I'm also saying like, hey, Andrew, hey, buddy, when you're getting a little tough, when it gets a little cold and you're like, fuck this, you're about $120 away from a flight down to Phoenix. You and I can live a nice 80-degree weather, play around the golf, and you'll forget about the whole thing. Just letting you know.
Amen to that, dude.
Backpocket has now 2x'd geographically. We're ready to launch. I have no idea what's to come, but I cannot wait.
We love you guys.
Take care.
Take care.
Take care.